Thank you for joining us for Melissa Whitaker's Sales Insights. Each month, Sales Insights expounds on Melissa Whitaker's sales tactics, taking a full 360-degree view of ways to attain the winning sales synergy she learned pounding the pavement, knocking on doors, and being a consistent top producer. Melissa shares her inspirational lessons and talk tracks to fine-tune your sales skills, uncovering hidden opportunities, closing more deals, transforming clients into referrals, and managing sales effectively to increase results. Now, let's join Melissa Whitaker as she shares some of her sales insights with you. Melissa, an area which constantly plagues salespeople is a sparse sales pipeline. What are some of the major factors for not prospecting successfully?
There's 5 main things that I find that salespeople have a tendency to fall into, which creates poor prospecting. The first one is poor organization. A lot of times salespeople don't plan their time. They don't have an organized game plan. So what tends to happen is emergencies pop up with clients or demands happen from internal employees, and sales reps go to that immediately. And then prospecting ends up getting squeezed out of their schedule more and more. To the end result is no prospecting is happening. End result to that, of course, is nothing in their pipeline. The second reason for poor prospecting is fear of failure. There are a lot of reps, I'm shocked, that actually are so concerned about failing at something that they mentally start working themselves up so much that they avoid doing the activity altogether. So if they avoid prospecting, again, the end result is nothing in their pipeline. The third reason is fear of success. When I first came across this, I had never even heard anything like this. But I've even come across in my walks of sales myself, individuals who experience this over and over again. They're so nervous that if they excel at something such as prospecting, maybe a high number of prospecting calls on the phone or reaches to people in person on a daily basis, they're nervous that then their manager or their company is going to hold them to that same level of success every single day. So they try to stay what we call mediocre instead of excelling at prospecting or other activities in their career or in sales in general. The fourth reason is taking rejection personally. We all know how this feels. The reality is, sales, you come across rejection, rejection, rejection on a daily basis. So the main thing I tell people is take a breath when it starts taking a toll on you. Just sit back, count to 10, and then go at it again. Because we all know that it's not something when people reject us on prospecting, it's not a personal situation. They might have had a bad day. They might have just had a fight with their child or their spouse or their boss before they came to work. We have no idea. But the reality is a lot of people do tend to take it personally because it starts eating at them. And then because they take it personally, it has a negative trickle effect. And ultimately, again, hardly any prospecting happens. The last reason, number 5, is no sense of urgency. This is one area that challenges a lot of people, and I see it, on a monthly or a weekly basis sometimes, where less successful salespeople do not exhibit a sense of urgency to get something done. Get something done today. Get something done now. This is not probably something you can teach someone to have, but a lot of studies and research shows that more salespeople could upgrade their performance in this area just by making a conscious effort to improve.
Before prospecting begins, what should be prepared ahead of time?
If you're going out prospecting, there's some main key areas that I truly feel you should prepare and also make sure you're implementing in a good fashion. And the first one is have a targeted list of people. So if you're on the phone, you have to plan ahead. You have to look at a long list of people you want to call. You want to make sure you have that list ready to go and prepared in a simple fashion with their name of who you're calling, the company, their phone number, the main research or information that you're going to address when you contact them. The second thing is have an objective. I can't tell you how many people I come across who are just calling or visiting people aimlessly. And then they're wondering why some of their goals aren't achieved. And it's because ultimately they have really no idea what they're trying to achieve to begin with. So if they have an objective, for an example, if you're on the phones, your objective typically is to set an appointment. When you're in the field, let's say cold calling or talking to people and networking, many times your goal is to gather all the pieces of the puzzle that you need to make sure you have, when you have proper alignment, you can bring value to the table. And you understand a little bit more about what is that company or those organizations going through today. And last but not least is what is that information that you need to gather? Know and make sure you're clear on what types of questions you're asking. You want to make sure, are you going to be moving forward in a partnership with them? What key elements do you need to find out? It could be the decision maker's name if you don't have that person. It could be, depending on your field of what you're offering, key areas of what they currently have today in comparison to your services and your products. Any pains or challenges that they might be incurring today in those specific areas. And any additional detailed information that you know is vital to move them towards that partnership.
How persistent should a salesperson be when calling on prospects?
It's funny. I get this question actually all the time from salespeople. I'm usually working with them saying, you need to have bulldog tenacity. You need to be persistent. And they look at me and say, Melissa, but how persistent? I mean, really, how persistent are you referring to? Well, I usually share some of the statistics with them on some recent research from the National Sales Executive Association. When I first came across this, I was shocked, but yet it made a lot of sense. And it really brings home the answer to a lot of salespeople in that particular question. This is what it says. 80% of all sales in the country are made after the fifth call on the same prospect. The fifth call. 48% of all salespeople make one call and cross the prospect off. 25% quit after the second call. 12 people call 3 times and then quit. Ironically, 10%, only 10% keep on calling. But on a national average, those 10% of all salespeople, 80% of the sales. So that's the main thing I stress to salespeople is keep in mind there's a rule of thumb that most of the time you need to have at a minimum 5 touches to a prospect before you can expect or think you're going to make some positive forward movement in that process. And so the second thing I typically tell them is, yes, you don't want to be a stalker. You want to make sure you're contacting them persistently, but you just spread it out a little bit each time. So let's say you call someone today. Then the next time you call them is 2 to 3 days later. And then let's say you don't get a hold of them, you leave them a quick message or you send them an email. Then you contact them again, maybe 5 business days later after that. And then the next time, a week and a half. And the next time, maybe 2 or 2.5 weeks. So each time you just spread it out a little bit, but you still want to have somewhat what we call frequent touches. And then when you get them on the phone or you get to talk to them, now you can start qualifying them to see, are they an ideal prospect, someone with ideal characteristics of who you want to partner with, or are they really a poor prospect and maybe it doesn't make sense to partner with them moving forward. That's the key.
This has been Melissa Whitaker's Sales Insights. If you would like to continue the conversation further, or to find out more about Melissa Whitaker and Melissa Whitaker International, click the website button below or type www.melissawhitakerintl.com.
This is Melissa Whitaker, and thanks for your time.